Right, round 2. Hope the fan noise in the background is not too audible. It's 30 degrees. I'm sweating away. Anyways, I faced Mr. Keinanen. He's the second highest rated player in Finland at the moment. He was the top seed in the tournament. I'm on black side. I know he likes to play a lot of all kind of Catalan setups, sometimes goes for Cole too. Probably depends on a little bit on the opponent. But mostly Catalan. I think he's pretty excellent on both sides, so it is a bit suicidal to go for those, but what can you do? He goes there in many different moves, c4, d4, knight f3, g3. You don't always know what to expect. Well, I chose this setup. c5, bishop g2, and knight c6. And now we are maybe threatening to play e5 and get to a King's Indian setups, reverse colors. So he does not want to go there. Probably not his wheelhouse there. Plays d4. Kind of invitation to play the Grunfeld in reverse. So probably a bad idea to take and play the Grunfeld where you are just a move down here. It's probably all playable, but I've lost some ugly games here without knowing any theory, just going for it. So after d4, I just didn't want to deal with that. Knight f6, develop, defend d5. Of course, they could take here, but we'll probably recover the game pawn. I mean, we could instantly go for it, but or e6 and take it that way. Anyways, he was not interested. Castles. I play this setup. Of course, we lock the bishop in, but well, it becomes a big problem anyways in the end. Which often happens in the Catalans anyways. This bishop is powerful and black has some problems how to get out with this. And I had a lot of problems with that. Alright, so c4 strikes at center. White's almost developed there and black's definitely a little bit behind. So white tries to unleash the bishop. Of course, this is a pawn sack. And, well, I could have just played bishop e7, gone for different lines. Then after like c takes, e takes, knight c3, we are in some kind of a Tarrasch. I think you could get there with the very exact top position, like more normal Tarrasch move, or it would be something like this from the beginning. And then we are in exactly that position. Around here, yeah. Instead of bishop e7, I chopped the pawn. So now we're up a pawn, making the bishop great. And white goes for knight a3, normal stuff in the Catalan. You can recover the pawn in many ways. Well, I took another pawn. We're also now maybe threatening to take here. So white should probably take here. But we are up a pawn. Of course, white has a lot of development edge there for the pawn. Takes me a little while to get castled, and then I haven't still figured out how to solve this mess. Like, this would be ideal for someday, but you have to always be worried about the knight e5 stuff. Okay, here this is probably a little inaccurate. I know this has been played in many games, but probably bishop c5 is the... I was completely out of book at this moment. This was probably better. Just hold on to the pawn. Even afterwards, I think I was looking at this with the computer, and later on it says that bishop e7, bishop c5 is the best, so why not instantly just develop there. I don't know if we need to really be worried about anything like here, so the bishop is probably too timid move to play bishop e7. White could follow up with some bishop f4 or b3 and, I don't know, put the pressure on there. Bishop f4 is probably a bit to do with the e5, like there's some lines. If you play b3, then maybe black can play knight d7 and play e5 and try to build some kind of a center there. Anyways, I played bishop e7. My opponent was not afterwards, like he didn't really think that was the move, and it probably is not. And yeah, now, well, my opponent is really good at this kind of stuff, so it's probably not the best idea to end up in a passive position against him. Alright, so bishop is coming here. I castled. Bishop goes there. Even here, I think computer says that just holding on to the pawn, even though now it's even a little bit more vulnerable, like instantly rook c1 and question the bishop a little bit. I choose another way. I gave up the pawn in hopes, of course, that white takes with this or that, and he evens out the pawns, but then we have a nice square here for the knights and isolated pawn here. That would be pretty nice for black. Of course, white is not so silly and take. They play e3. Of course, then again, the pawn lives. It's a bit in the enemy camp, and I kind of assumed it will die, but at least white has some work to do how to recover it. But yeah, this way white keeps the nice pawn structure. Not that my pawn structure is bad either, but I still have this problem here, is that how to put it. Like, I can always put it on d7 like I did in the game eventually, but the problem is that b6. Funnily, at this point I point out that problems with this is that this is what the engine wants to play. Of course, I saw this in the game, but I rejected it because of knight e5. Bing bang. But somehow, like, this is compensation enough for the exchange sack. The queen d6 is the engine line. I could understand this if I got this bishop for the exchange, like the light squares. Then it's so obvious to me. Here, at least during the game, I was not convinced. But to be honest, afterwards even, I'm not here very convinced. Even though computer says this is dead equal. We have the passed pawn here, and it's probably not easy for white to recover it. That's my only compensation for the exchange. We can defend it more, and, well, maybe this is also a little bit weak. But yeah, I saw this and then I rejected it. Based on just simple tactics. It's a very interesting idea though. Like this would be enough compensation for the exchange. Like this is much more common if you like get to take this bishop after they take here and the light squares. That's much more understandable. Anyways, instead of that, after e3, I played a5. I just want to disturb white's queen side there. It's probably not the best move. It's probably a horrible move. It has some problems with the b6 in many lines. Not here, but eventually. And well, my opponent played this. Hitting here, and then I just defended this. And this, of course, is like a black solid but passive. Like, it's not easy to come up with any kind of a play for black. Like, I don't know, maybe they takes and then bishop there would be a long-term plan, but it's not easy to come up with. And yeah, whenever you take there, then this square instantly becomes a problem. We weakened with a5, like the bishop takes, and then maybe he goes there and wins the pawn. Alright, queen d3. Now pawns are even. No more passed pawn. I played the knight d5. I mean, I maybe want to go here. Also blunt the bishop a little bit. I had some ideas here, but I don't think they are actually working. Of course, I probably wouldn't mind if white takes. Then we have that light square play at least. Isolated pawn, of course, but I wouldn't have minded that at all. Well, my opponent plays really simple chess. What to do? Bring some rooks into the center. And, well, I want to disturb that side. Like, maybe this was the dream, like I get to play a3 maybe. Chop that bishop off and then have the bishop pair and maybe some play. Or no, I don't know, maybe at some point we take and do some trading. Alright, anyways, my opponent plays e4. Questions this knight, what are you doing actually there? Of course, that's no longer defended by a pawn, but doesn't matter, it's so well protected and I have no attackers on there anyways. And, well, I could go here, this is what I was thinking, where to stick the knight. This looks silly for what I did in last few moves and next few moves. My knights jump around like they have no idea. And, well, to be honest, we didn't really have any idea. But I assume that, like, queen c3 is fine. Threatening horrible things here, and I don't know, knight here, and then maybe stick these guys somewhere. Maybe, but didn't look too great. I just went back. These were blocking this diagonal, but I'm defending the d7. But yeah, I went back there, back, and next I do something equally silly. I go there and back. So we went here, 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 here. Really good chess. I think here I should have gone here instead though. It's a pawn sack, but my opponent said I should have gone for it and I saw it, but I tried to hold on with the knight f6 instead, but computer says this is not completely horrible. Like something like this, and this. And then bishop c5. And it's not, white's advantage is not so great here. They are still better, of course, in double pawn. But black can fight on here. Well, I was thinking this, but in the end I didn't have guts to do it. I went back, knight takes, pawn takes. Sadly I can't take with the bishop, of course, because of the stupid pin here. So now we have an isolated pawn here and the bishop looks really stupid. Queen e3, I don't know, maybe it threatens to snack a pawn there. Of course I hoped for something e5 and then stick the knight there and black would be perfectly fine, but obviously I'm playing way too strong of a player to let me have a square like that. Now, of course e5 also blocks the bishop, so it is just a silly move. Well, I chopped then a3, a8 takes b, queen takes, and now white has a passed pawn here, and well, that's the game winning pawn. I attack the queen and the bishop, they just drop back. Now there is some problems with well, this is annoying. I tried to get the queen out of the way. I don't know what I should be able to do to be fine here, like c5, knight, bishop c6 or something. Anyways, I have no time. White keeps on turning on the screws. It's the rook, and then the rook has some problems where to go. I put it on b7. I saw this way I don't lose material. But of course I end up in a really stupid looking position. Bishop d6, bishop e8. And then they just go. I can't never take here as long as this is a fork. So I move the queen away. And then they just keep on pushing. Here I took and played queen a7. They traded the rooks. And probably threatened to go here. And I have some real big problems, like can't get the bishop out to free the rook to defend. If I move the bishop here, then probably e5 and I lose the bishop. I mean, at the moment queen is defending, but like maybe queen goes here to bully my queen off the defense, and then e5. Well, I saw some tactics here, but they don't really work. Hit the rook, knight and the rook. Well, white just defended the knight, who defends the rook. Also supports the pawn pushing it forward. Well, here I think I also was kind of low on time, probably. I saw this does not work. But anyways, what else can I do? It is completely lost position. Well, white realizes that I have no threats. He pushes the pawn. And I have big problems how to stop that. Well, there is no way. Well, I thought I can win a pawn here. It's not working. The alternative is here, but the problem is that white can just ignore everything and just keep on pushing the pawn. Or they can push the pawn. Neither way. Either way. Yay. Oh no. Or maybe they can swing the rook here first and then queen. At least there I would have this to stop that, but they can also just make a second queen. I mean, at least here it would be a little messed up. I have a knight and the rook and the pawn for a queen. But of course, white can do anything else here too. Like just take the knight and then push a7. Again, have a rook and a pawn for a queen. I don't know. I assume there is no hope at all. I'm probably right. Well, I took this way. I didn't see. I saw that this does not work. If I just take it and I'll take here and then a7. The problem is that the pawn is defended. I have some silly checks around here, but like I can attack stop the promotion for a move, but then after the rook d8, this is coming. I resigned here. Could have resigned earlier too, but I have always been a bad resigner. Anyways, this is hopeless, and I don't know. This was a hard game because I made small inaccuracies, and the advantage just kept on piling up, and eventually it was hopeless, like often happens when you're playing a much stronger player. But yeah, improvements definitely, like if I go for this line, then here bishop c5 for instance is better, and then white actually has to probably work for the pawn. We are defending it already 3 times. Of course the bishop is a bit shaky square here, and we haven't really fixed out our light square bishop problem, but this should be level. Anyways, needs to be looked at more. Anyways, that's the round 2. And next game next time. Thanks for watching. Ciao.